Good morning. We'll call the meeting to order for the day. First item on our agenda is approval of today's agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Citizens to be heard. Any citizens that would like to be heard on items that are not on today's agenda? Seeing none. Approve payment of bills and vouchers.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, adopt resolution consenting to the proposed issuance by the City of Moorhead, Minnesota of revenue bonds for the Concordia College Corporation project. Who has that? Oh, come on up. Good morning.
You can all sit.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for allowing us to attend. My name is Mark LeBay. I am with Springstead Incorporated. We are financial advisors for the College of Concordia.
And I'm Linda Brown, and I'm the Vice President for Finance and Treasurer for the college.
Okay. Morning.
And here, just to give a brief summary of what this motion is about, the college is in the process of doing a financing for three purposes. One is to refund the Clay County issues that were issued in 2001, 2003, and 2004. They're also going to refund a City of Moorhead issue from 2005 and then borrow money for a new project, a science project on constructing and renovating buildings on campus. The three Clay County issues are outstanding in the total of amount of $10,700,000. And the reason they want to refund those is that they have balloon payments which will cause spikes in their cash flow in 3 separate years. So the purpose of refunding them is to stretch out the payments slightly and to level them out and make it easier for them on a cash flow basis. Refunding the Moorhead bonds in the amount of about $10 million is to achieve cash flow savings. They'll get a lower interest rate and save a significant amount of money. And then, of course, they're borrowing $20 million through the City of Moorhead to fund the new projects. For convenience and administrative simplicity, they would like to issue them all through one source, the City of Moorhead, instead of coming back to Clay County for another issuance. And the reason we're here is they could, had they had their own cash, they could have paid off the bonds without any trouble, but there's a statute that requires one issuing authority to consent to another issuing authority refunding its bonds. So we're here simply to ask that you consent that they use the City of Moorhead for these three combined projects.
Thank you. Questions?
When you say refunding now, it's basically is that like the same as the crossover refunding?
That's a type of refunding.
Okay.
All refundings pay off the old debt with new debt.
At a different rate?
Yes, it'll be almost always at a different rate. In fact, the rate on our bonds to pay off yours will be slightly higher, but we need to avoid those balloon payments. So that's part of
the cash flow issue.
Is a cash flow concern there.
Okay.
What they lose on interest rate on your refundings, they hopefully will make up on the Moorhead refunding. That one is for cash savings interest.
And I know that the county has a $10 million annual limit.
For a bank qualification limit, yes. And that, Clay County was good enough, the last three issuances that we're refunding here,
right,
to allow Concordia to use your capacity, your bank qualified capacity to issue those bonds. Right. Bank qualification means that banks can deduct the interest cost of what it costs them to buy those bonds. It makes it more attractive to banks. And there's a $10 million limit on that. Mm-hmm. So we're past that. That's not part of what's going on here. Right.
Okay.
It's not part of this.
Crossover has nothing to do with.
No, a crossover is a type of refunding where you borrow money and you use your borrowed money to make certain interest payments instead of others. And then at the point you call the bonds, the cash crosses over. It's a specific type of financing tool that gets used. So.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'd move approval of the request.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. There you go, thank
Well,
you.
thank you very much.
Motion
We really
adopted.
appreciated your partnership with us on those 3 previous issues and allowing the college to use your capacity for financing. That was a very good opportunity for the college, and we appreciate that past work. And
Well, they were all good projects, too. so.
yes, they are. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Okay, approval, let's see, Dave Overbo. Huh.
Brian is,
Oh, sorry. Good morning.
Morning.
Approval of sponsorship for Barnesville Trail Project.
Yeah, they're just basically, Barnesville's applying for a TAP grant and they need sponsorship and we're it.
We're it? Okay. Any questions?
Well, it looks like that project's coming along nicely, so I will move approval of the request.
Motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. It's pretty easy on you this morning, so yeah. Happy New Year. Okay, Lori, come on up. Authorize utilization of 2-year grace period for implementation of new administrative requirements established by the Federal Office of Management and Budget for procurements made with federal grant funds as allowed under federal regulations. Wow.
Okay, that's it.
That's a mouthful, that's it.
The federal government came out with some new rules regarding documentation for any federal money and procurements we make with that money. And so the whole document is 244 pages, and each commissioner is required to read that before we actually implement this.
Oh.
Just kidding.
I read it last night. Oh, no, that was something else.
Starting out very good.
No, it actually, it was supposed to be implemented in December 26th of 2014, but we have an option for a 2-year grace period, so it pushes it back to 12/26/16. And so what we're required to do is just add at the end of our procurement policy a statement saying we're electing to go for that 2-year grace period. And so that's what this is. And like I say, it's a 244-page document, so there's a lot of different requirements that, like, I could go into some of them right now, but I don't think you really want me to.
Please don't. Okay. What are the board's wishes?
I'll move to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Lori.
Thanks. And then I have one more thing. We only have one fund that has a negative cash balance at the end of the year, and that's our jail project fund. And so I'm looking to transfer 1.1 million.
And I'm assuming that's for the buyouts, right?
Right.
Buyouts.
Yep. A few other miscellaneous
Yeah.
expenses, but mostly buyouts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
And these are all, these will all be reimbursed through the final,
Correct. Yeah. When
Financing
we issue our
package.
bonds, then
Yep.
we'll refund this.
Good. Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Lori. Darren, come on up. Personnel policy.
very good. Well, good morning.
Morning, Darren.
What I'm here for is, as you know, I look at 25% of the PDQs every year. And we've done that last year and this year. And as part of that reclassification, the last ones that we looked at was in the highway department. And so what ended up happening is we reclassified the truck drivers because we found that they were rated on a grade 8. And they were, once we looked through the PDQ, revised the PDQ, they were moved to a grade 11. And through our normal reclassification process, that person or the truck drivers would be taken from where they are in grade 8s and their step and placed on that grade 11 at the closest to but not lower than their next step. And once we did that, we found that a couple of the truck drivers, one of them was only receiving a 3 cents an hour increase after going up 3 grades. Now, yes, they were going back on the scale, but only receiving 3 cents. And so what that did is that prompted some discussion within County Administrator Brian Berg and myself and Dave Overbo, the Highway Department head, that maybe we should relook at how we reclassify these positions and how we move people through that grid. And so through that discussion, the normal process that is suggested by the comp study is the one that I laid out prior to saying that they should go to the higher grade at the step, not less than. And so we came up with an idea that maybe that should be an increase, that they receive at least 1% per grade increase, which seems a little bit more fair when you're talking about somebody going up 2 or 3 grades and only receiving a 3 cent an hour increase. I hesitate to use the word raise because it's not really a raise, it's a reclassification of the position. But as you recall, probably a couple of years ago maybe, we kind of had the same issue with when we promoted somebody, and depending on where they were on the grid and how high up they were, we instituted the fact that if you were being promoted to a supervisor's position, you would receive at least a 5% increase, not more than 10%. And so we made that change to the policy a couple years ago. So what I'm here today to request is the change to the personnel policy of if a position moves 1 grade, it would receive at least, the individuals would receive at least a 1% increase, 2 grades, a 2% increase. And I've changed the language in the personnel policy to reflect that. This has been through the PIC. We had a meeting last week and discussed some of this as well. And so we wanted to bring it to the full board today for your discussion and proposal. So,
Questions for Darren on this?
How much of a percentage increase is between like step 8 to step 9?
if you're just staying on the same line, let's say you're on grade 8 and you're going from 8 to 9, normally it varies throughout the grid, but it's normally about a 3% increase. But the way that the comp study has it is you may be up here at, let's say you're making 8.
Well, if you're at step 12 or whatever, what's the top step? I don't know what the top 12 is. It 12 or 13?
12
Okay.
steps. Yep.
So the difference between step 12, grade 8, and step 12, grade 9 is what? Is 3%? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's much more than that.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Because what would happen is, let's say they're on grade 8, step 12, they may come down to grade 11, step 9 or 10, depending on the where they would be placed on the grade and step, not lower than
Right, yeah.
their current rate of pay. If that makes sense.
That's simple enough. So,
Yeah.
Well, it's just,
They wouldn't
I was just
come
hoping there was enough percentage increase, because, I mean, if you give, 3% increase, you're not going to go over step 12 or anything.
No, they would never go over step 12. They would go, we would never have anybody go above grade 12, or step 12, I'm sorry.
Any other questions for Darren? Okay. Board's wishes?
The other thing is there's not that many grades, positions that move that high. If they move, they normally move 1 or 2 grades, so
Yeah.
you're not really talking a lot of grades most of the time.
Well, I think it's a good general policy, and I like the idea that the truck drivers were reevaluated. They were, because I think they were at the wrong grade, you know, I just, I think it's a good idea, so I'll make a motion to approve this.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Okay. And the second thing that I have on the agenda was just kind of an update on the contract negotiations that we've had. We had contract negotiations with the lieutenants, the detox staff, and juvenile counselors. I have the lieutenant's contract already signed by the union, so I'll be requesting a signature from the chair today on that. The detox contract, we have a tentative agreement with them. I'm just awaiting the signatures for them. And for the juvenile counselors, we have a tentative agreement with them, and I'm waiting their signatures as well. So all of the contracts that we have out there for this year did agree to the 2016 2%, 17 3.25%, and 18 2.5%. So that was agreed upon by all three contract unions. And then we had a couple other smaller things in there that we got as far as probationary employees not being able to grieve a dismissal, which we're trying to get into all of the contracts, and that's been fairly easy so far, because if they're probationary, they understand that if they're dismissed, we could go through a very big grievance process, an expensive grievance process, just for a probationary employee. We made clear that they can grieve other things if they have a pay issue or a question or something like that, but it would just be for a dismissal. And the uniform fees for the lieutenants went from $450 to $525, and they've been at $450 for a couple contracts now, I believe. So.
Okay. Questions on this for Darren?
Do you need a motion to, for that, for the board chair to sign that?
I don't think I can do anything.
Yeah, you do. I think you do,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
I would move of approval of the lieutenant's contract.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Okay.
Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darren.
Okay, committee reports. Wayne, anything?
Reports, Mr. Chair.
Frank?
Unless you want to talk about our Christmas, other than that, I got nothing.
Jenny?
No reports.
Kevin?
Oh, no reports, no, not since the meeting.
Okay, I don't have anything. Brian, the construction issue with the jail, the construction management, have we got something planned for that, and what we're looking at as far as the schedule goes?
Well, Mr. Chair, yes. What you did, what the board did a couple weeks ago, they approved sending out the advertisement for the request for qualifications for the construction management. And the plan then was to receive the qualifications and then set up interviews for the different construction companies that want to be considered for the construction management. So yes, we haven't set an exact date for those interviews and a process yet, but
Are you looking at any tentative dates?
well, I was looking around the 25th, 26th of January.
Okay.
26th is a Tuesday.
Okay. Well, the interview process, and I think we should have the entire board involved in that interview if that's possible. It would make it a public meeting, but if the board's interested in doing that, selecting the construction management firm, I think we should maybe.
Well, that would work pretty good. if-
Anybody have
Mr. Chair.
any issues with that, or
I think it'd be a good idea.
I do too.
Wayne, you good with that? Kevin?
Yep. Well, then your permission, then we'll look at the afternoon of the 26th, which would be a Tuesday. We could set up for all afternoon, and we would be able to get through. I'm assuming we'll have 3 or 4 or 5 somewhere in that area, whatever you want to narrow it down to interview that afternoon, and we could set up those appointments then.
Okay, we'll plan on that then if it works out. Anything else to come before the board for the end of the year?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Brian hasn't had his report.
Brian, do you have more info?
Oh, did you guys go through all the reports?
We didn't have any.
Sorry. Okay, well, Mr. Chair, real quick, you mentioned that, and I was talking to Darren about the last issue there, so sorry, I should have been paying more attention, but we had met with the city or the city administrator and some representation to talk a little bit about future funding and going forward with a law enforcement center and when and things along those lines. So there was discussion. Certainly no recommendations. There's got to be a lot of work between the two boards before we get there. But the city had some concerns about their indebtedness and things along those lines. So timing is going to be important with that. We did have a discussion after last board meeting. I don't know if that was mentioned or not. Reference a rural flood buyout and making some progress there, I think, about applying to FEMA for a rural property that's in danger. Tim's working on that. And we just addressed the other one as far as moving forward with the CM on the 26th. So that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
How about the lobbyist issue with Chicago County?
Very good point.
We haven't really talked about that at all either.
No.
So.
I should have brought that up because I did have a conversation last week with Bruce Messelt, the county administrator from Chisago County, and we had earlier conversations about where we were at with the lobbyist. You folks approved a partnership with Chisago County for the lobbyist going through the end of the year 2015, and the lobbyist has now approached Chisago County, and Chisago County has approved extending his contract into 2016 for the legislative session. And I don't know, I guess we've talked a little bit about it in committee, but the request is for like $10,000 per month going into the next year, and I don't know. Seems a little high.
My personal opinion on that is I don't think we want to spend, that kind of money at this juncture. So I don't know if anybody disagrees with that. Was there, even less, than that, but that's a pretty significant amount of money for this particular project, I think, so.
I'm not interested in spending that kind of money. I think we would have better luck if we were still interested in finding a lobbyist, researching some other firms and approaching it on our own. But I also feel like we could advocate for that a lot at the Capitol as well.
I have to agree. It's just a drastic change from when we talked to them originally.
Yeah.
Just too much of a change.
Everybody in agreement then on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you for bringing that up.
Anything else, Brian?
No, that should do. Well, yeah, one more thing, because we had discussed it, and you guys have been very supportive and cooperative. At Detox Center, you had approved changing some of the qualifications and things that we were requesting for a director over there. We did conduct some interviews last week, and we have one more this afternoon, and then we hope to Kathy will make a decision as to, and we've got some very good candidates, so we're really hopeful that that's going to go through, progress in a very positive manner.
Good.
So we're feeling really good about it.
Good. Steve, anything for the end of the year? Vicki, anything for us? Last time for the year? We're adjourned.